So, after much persuasion,
Oh, please.
I've gotten Mark to watch Paddington at last.
Yep.
I've seen it 3 times before this. This is my 4th time.
This is your 4th viewing
Yes.
of this. Oh my god.
Yes, it is.
I can see why. It's nice.
It's nice.
Yeah. It's nice. I have a hard time enjoying this kind of thing.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just the tropes get to me.
Really?
Yeah. Although I'll say with this film, it's the way they do it's really nice. You can see the message behind it, and it's really heartfelt.
It's very not cynical.
Yeah. It's so. Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful. I mean, how often are there cynical kids movies these days?
Many.
I mean, there's cynical like cartoons, and there's cynical like. But I don't know. I feel like most like movies that are marketed towards a large audience are not that cynical.
Nah. I mean, I'm trying to think of examples. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's beside the point.
Well, if we want to talk about cynicism, the American marketing department decided to do this film, but when making the trailer, they focused on one specific scene, and you can guess which one, and it made the film look like a gross-out movie.
Oh, yeah, it's the bathroom scene.
Yes.
I remember seeing that in theaters.
Right.
And it totally got the wrong impression of the film.
Right.
Yeah, because
and the scene oddly works. You can argue that scene is still a little much, but the whole point of Paddington is he gets into shenanigans.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, let's not keep it too spoiler. Let's not.
Right. Of course. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that this film exists, especially in the UK, because the UK has an immigration problem.
No, there you go.
And the fact that they're making a general.
I've never thought of that. Yeah, there you go.
Wait, seriously?
I forget. I didn't know that UK had a big immigration problem.
Oh well,
I'm just not aware. I'm just not informed.
Well, they have.
Pardon me.
Well, it's like a. I mean, I'm mostly. I mean, we're Americans. We're not the most informed, but I'm making that assumption based on what happened in Brexit last year.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in Europe, immigration is a big topic just because there are a lot of countries around with moving people.
Yeah.
I remember, this isn't the UK, but like while I was taking German, that's something we would talk about is the immigration of like Turkish people coming into Germany and Polish people coming into Germany and immigration and like. I mean, people can be unkind to immigrants.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's kind of different in the U.S. because we have a big ocean, and immigration is also a big problem here. I mean, I just did a play on immigration and how people can be dicks about it. But with Europe, everyone's next to each other, so I mean, it's a big issue, but like different kind of issue, I guess. It's nice that this film's made, I guess.
Yeah, well, how many stars would you give it?
I don't know.
It's 5 stars for me, by the way.
It's 5?
To
okay.
fill in some quiet.
I don't know. I mean, 3.5 to 4?
Oh my gosh, okay.
I mean, I enjoyed it. Well, I enjoyed the humor. The humor is, like, really nice. I guess just what disappoints me is that it is a kid's film, and that they can't be. I feel spoiled by Ghibli.
Oh yeah, I
feel
guess.
spoiled by like the way they make their films, and it's totally just a personal like gripe that is personal, because what they're able to do is make general purpose movies that are very, very dense and very like intricate, but still make them approachable for children. But in a way that, I don't know, I just more aligns with my sensibilities, where this aligns on the trope of an antagonist writing the story to where there's an antagonist purely for the purpose of having an antagonist that's trying to kill the protagonist.
Oh, exactly.
I hate that.
Oh, but
I personally hate that, because almost every kids movie does that. And it gets old. And I've seen too many kids movies that do that, and I just don't enjoy that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fair.
That's my main gripe with the film. But yeah, the themes that it pushes are nice. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's my take on it. I think that the direction is absolutely phenomenal.
It is. I mean, given the genre, This is
The
definitely
cinematography is. I would go as far as to say this is like if Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg, the team behind Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, collaborated with Wes Anderson to make a kids film.
The phrase I had in my mind: this is the film that Wes Anderson would make if he had a soul.
Yes, that is a very good.
If Wes Anderson had a soul, this is what you would get.
In a way, you haven't seen Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that film has a soul.
I'm partly joking because he has a soul and he's very human, but
nah,
Wes Anderson's cold in a way that it's very detached. It's not that his films aren't human.
That's a conversation we can have another time.
Yeah.
Reason why I gave Isle of Dogs 2.5 stars and why I gave Grand Budapest Hotel 5 stars, and it's my 9th favorite film of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's something else. I just think the humor is I think the script is very sharp. I think that things that don't seem significant about, like, when they introduce the family come back later, and just everything is wrapped up really well, and it's either used for humor or used for heart. And I know that my heart definitely melts for this type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I find myself hard to get my heart to melt because I'm too familiar with the form.
But I guess this is the film that makes me forget about the form. Like, I never think that, I mean, sure, you can pick apart the tropes, and I definitely do that, but maybe, I mean, the first time, admittedly, I was like, okay, this movie, I get the hype, but it is like a kid's film. But when I decided to revisit it to watch Paddington 2, that rewatch just brought out all the strengths even more. Like, the way every shot is framed, the way the lighting, the music, the soundtrack is super. It's like
soundtrack was surprisingly good.
Yeah, it's like if you've seen the Grand Budapest Hotel, there are moments where it literally sounds like Alexandre Desplat's score for Grand Budapest Hotel, and I don't think that's a I don't think that's a pure coincidence. But let's see. There are many references to other films. Yeah.
That's nice, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's very cool. I mean, the point of the movie is very, very clear. It's family fun. It knows what it is. It's very simple. It's
I will say the allegory is somewhat ingenious. Of having a bear and having the irony of everyone oh, he's a bear, that's fine.
Yeah.
But also have people who say he's a bear.
Right.
He's gonna take over the towns. He's gonna make everyone eat marmalade or what. That's not what they said, but the same sort of mentality that a racist person who was biased towards immigrants would say. And also having characters in the film who, this is semi-spoilery, but characters in the film who are once more racist, but then become less racist for very clear reasons. And the allegory really strengthens that in a very nice way that is very approachable for kids to understand. That's a nice achievement, I think.
That's really interesting that you approach it from that deeper perspective.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I assume that's their purpose.
It makes sense once you said it, but when I first, I've never thought of that ever before in any of my viewings. But now that you point it out, it's very obvious. Yeah, I guess you do look for the deeper stuff in these films. And
I guess I don't.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. But if you like this movie, I would recommend Paddington 2.
Which I would like to watch.
Yeah. Everything good about Paddington 1 is turned up to 400% or 4,000%.
4,000%.
You're not even. I mean, think about the letterbox rating. This one is rated 3.7. Second one's rated a 4.2.
Wow.
Yeah, it's I think it's in the top 100 or top 150.
Just hearing the stories of people in your present group just breaking down.
Yeah.
That makes me intrigued enough to want to know.
Yeah, I mean, when I showed it in my film group, it was unanimous praise. I guess people are less cynical than you are when it comes to nobody thought about the tropes. Everybody thought, everybody gave it 5 stars.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Paddington 1.
Yes.
Okay.
And they were like, I don't see how the second one can be better than this.
Interesting.
I think just the mood that day. Nick was there. And for some reason, just the mood that day was
the mood of the people you're watching with. That's a big factor.
It is very important.
Yeah.
I think Nicole Kidman plays a great villain. For the child, I mean, it's a very tropey villain, but for the purpose of this film, I think she gets some moments where she shines, and you could tell everyone's having fun with this movie. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's good. I'm trying to think of other kids' films that are of this more traditional. Like I'm hesitant to recommend Ghibli films.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I mentioned that just because
I know.
to explain my own gripe
Exactly.
with the this has nothing to do with Ghibli films. I didn't mean to suggest that.
Yeah, I know. I didn't. I know you didn't suggest that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, what other kids' films? Toy Story. Everyone's seen Toy Story.
I guess.
So.
I mean, I grew up rewatching kids' films as a kid, like on repeat. That's part of the reason why I know that I guess the form of it so well is because I'm very familiar with it as a kid, or at least the late '90s, early 2000s version of this kind of filmmaking.
Right. So are there suggestions, recommendations?
Maybe.
Because I definitely see that too. And since I seek out mediocre and bad movies to watch in the theater every year, it's definitely apparent that this movie has the tropes. But this movie just makes me feel like a kid again. It just makes me... It because of its lack of cynicism, I'm transported into that. Like, it's clear that it's aware of the tropes, and it just makes a story that's very straightforward.
Moonrise Kingdom is
I was
an
thinking
interesting
that.
comparison to this.
Yes.
That's not a kid's film. But if you like the presentation of Paddington, the artsiness of it, the color palette choices, Moonrise Kingdom is a similar storybook kind of film.
Yes.
That is not this genre.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to recommend Grand Budapest Hotel because I'm saving that for our Paddington 2 watch.
You're saving it?
I'm saving that recommendation.
Oh, you're saving the recommendation?
Yeah,
okay.
Because this one,
right.
you'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Should we watch Grand Budapest Hotel
yes,
before we
yes.
see
Absolutely, completely.
Okay, I'll trust you on that one.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's good.
All right.
Now let's move on to spoilers.
It's a messy bear.
It's a messy bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all about because so the storybook was the first. I feel like we should have saved this for the non-spoil. But so it started off as a storybook, I think, I don't know, decades ago, and then they actually made a TV show where Paddington was a puppet, was like a real life puppet sort of thing. I think a stop motion puppet, and
was it combined with live action?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't be sure. But basically, yeah, the original story is him getting adopted by humans and dealing with the life. So it makes sense that the film doesn't try to... I feel like it definitely elevates the source material from being just a very simple picture book. And in that sense, I think the film does incredible... It doesn't... I feel like the film refuses to be that super deep thing. I mean... Like the Ghibli thing, which is why I find your comparison with Ghibli a little odd.
Well, it's
more.
That's
it's
mostly
more
just my taste as like the films I like to watch as I am now. Like, I mean, if you were talking to 10-year-old me, I doubt they would care that much. And 10-year-old me would love the heck out of this movie, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. It's cute.
There are a couple of grown-up jokes there. The kids won't. It's fly straight through. And that's another thing. With a lot of these mainstream American comedies that are aimed for the family, they try to put one or two adult jokes that the grown-ups will get, but they don't do it in a way that feels natural at all. For sure.
I've seen it done... The only place I've really seen it done successfully is like Pixar films.
Yeah.
Where, like... the kids understand that it's funny, but it's like a reference from the 70s or something.
Yeah.
Where, like, the specificity of it doesn't quite translate.
Well, it's not that. It's more like the sexual humor.
Oh, really?
Honey Pot and Fierce Eagle. Honey Pot is literally a nickname for vagina.
Oh.
Yeah, and Fierce Eagle is... No, it's absolutely there.
I didn't even make that
really?
connection.
And then there's a jail joke. Like, that's what they say in prison, that you look pretty. They say that men look pretty.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That whole section made me really uncomfortable.
Really?
I mean, okay, maybe that's my SJW side of me coming out a little bit, but just the whole thing of a guy dressing up as a girl as a gag it's too vaudeville for my taste.
Really?
It's just way too vaudeville.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like, I get it. I would have been more comfortable with it if it's like he dresses up as her and it's just sort of weird. But they played it where, like, immediately as you see it, some dude starts hitting on her. And, like, they have this whole gag where it's, yeah.
But what's the difference between that and, say, there's a similar scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventure where Pee-wee dresses up as a woman and there's a cop that's hitting on him. Yeah,
that didn't really bother me as much. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Remind me of the specific...
I don't want to go into too many spoilers because that's a great scene. Yeah, Pee-wee is like in my top 20 films of all time.
Where in the timeline is it?
It's when he's with the rough dude. They're driving. They get stopped.
Oh, I remember now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I guess Okay, we shouldn't talk about Pee-wee.
Yeah.
But like it. Like how can I say something that would give context to Paddington? I guess. For Paddington, they were the humor was coming from the uncomfortableness of the just like being in drag, and that's speaking to a transphobia that is very against that is very against the spirit of this film.
Okay, that's a very interesting
which is more
point.
Coming from like I think the tradition of British humor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a totally British humor thing to do, and it's not coming from a place of like. I think it's more just coming from a place of ignorance, really.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think it's transphobic at all.
Okay.
I don't think there's any transphobia. Well,
it's not like I mean, obviously they're not trying to be, right? Because I mean, it's such a heartfelt film.
Right.
It's coming from a tradition that I don't know.
I cannot disagree with you more on that.
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't see it at all. But even trying to think of the perspective. I mean, the entire humor. It's not transphobic because. I mean, yes, you can say that, you know, Mr. Brown is in a straight family. So the initial thought of him, I think it's coming from more of the idea of him dressing up as a cleaning lady, and like I think the guy hitting on her, it's more just upping you can say it's discomfort, but it's not the discomfort that he's I guess it is the discomfort of him in drag, but it's not the fact that
well,
it's just I think it's just the absurd nature of him falling for Mr. Brown in drag. It's not really a transphobic. It's not really the fact that
but specifically, I think what annoys me is not the fact that he feels uncomfortable, but the fact that we're expected to laugh at the fact that someone else thinks he's attractive.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what gets to me.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh, of course he's not attractive. He's funny. He's a goofy dude.
Well,
that's kind of what gets to me.
But
and then again, it's not trying to be like bad or anything. Obviously not. It's just it's coming from a tradition of British humor that it's just. I mean, that's just. I don't know.
I think most of the humor comes from the Mr. Brown's reaction and just the awkwardness of the situation.
Well, it also comes from just how creepy the guy is. And it's like they make it funny how into Mr. Brown he is. That's just what makes it weird for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean we can agree to disagree on that.
Okay, which is fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the most interesting moments.
Yeah.
when we vehemently disagree on things.
Right.
Yeah.
But aside from that, yeah, I mean, you think that a bear getting into shenanigans and not knowing how to use human tech and human, like just getting adapting to human life,
or getting adopted.
And getting adopted.
Adopting and adapting.
There you go. Yeah.
This film has so many puns. It puts you in pun mode.
Right. But you think that that'll get old, but for some reason the gags in this film they
They stay
borderline
fresh. They stay fresh.
they borderline not working, like with the tape thing. Like we've seen films where people get stuck in tape and stuff, but when it's combined with Nicole Kidman doing Mission Impossible shenanigans, it just really works. And if we're speaking of Nicole Kidman, yeah, I mean I don't feel bad for telling you this, but the second film has another villain that I think is way better than the first villain, but his purpose is exactly the same as the first villain. All the tropes in the first movie stay put in the second movie.
Okay.
But it manages to be infinitely better. And it has, like, anything, the humor, again, the Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg-ism of the second film get cranked up to 4,000. The Wes Anderson-ism gets cranked up to 4,000. All the Heart gets cranked up to 4,000.
How far apart are the films? Do you remember?
In a year?
Yeah.
2014, 2017.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So pre-Brexit, post-Brexit. We can totally interpret it in that way.
Oh, that makes me really interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this is pre-Brexit, post-Brexit, do you want to spoil if it has the same message?
I mean, the first time I saw it again, I just did not think of that perspective at all.
Okay.
It's hard for me to say.
Okay.
It's very hard for me to say.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. But I have a ball. It's number 2 is my favorite film of 2018 right now. It's the second Paddington. And I doubt it'll leave my top 5 by the end of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe my opinion of this film will change once we see that film.
More like, I don't think it will.
Well, it might change a little. Like, my memory perspective on this.
It might change a little.
Like, I'm obviously not going to change my mind about the tropes, but I might feel more okay with them, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we can compare Paddington 1 with, like, The Boss Baby, for instance. You know?
The Boss Baby.
Like, I really like The Boss Baby, but that's like a mainstream American comedy. And what makes The Boss Baby work personally, I know most people don't like the movie, but what makes The Boss Baby work for me personally is the visual flair. But I can admit that most of the jokes are not very clever. And even, yeah, there's a big gag involving Elvis, and even though I thought that gag was funny, it was clearly pandering towards the grown-ups, and none of the humor was integrated as well as a film like Paddington. So maybe,
I see what you mean.
Maybe it's the fact that I do seek out kids' films that are mediocre, such as Minions. And The Boss Baby. And The Emoji Movie.
Okay.
That seeing something like this made in the modern day just makes me feel so happy.
Okay.
And it is a crowning, it is a gem in a sea of filth and mediocrity and trash.
That I can get behind.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, I think the most recent film we've seen together that's like recently come out in films is the Captain Underpants movie.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that because we both grew up with that comic. But in terms of, like, the sharpness of the jokes and animation in that film was great because, I mean, they paralleled the style of the comic really well. But in terms of the writing specifically, the Paddington trumps it by miles in its sharpness and its cleverness. Yeah,
and Captain America. I'm not Captain America. Ooh, Marvel.
Captain America.
No.
He's in Marvel.
Yep. And Captain Underpants is indeed one of the better kids films to come out last year.
True.
And you should totally. I actually, especially if you grew up with the book, I highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as just to revisit some nostalgia. But yeah, the thing with Captain Underpants is, like, there are clever jokes, but the way Paddington's jokes play out, they seem very natural. While in, I don't know, like, the humor is so, like, you know, the whole escalator scene where he needs to take a dog and he stands on his right leg. Like, that's really...
That had me in stitches.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. That's this British humor being what it's best at.
Yeah. That's really funny that, I mean, I understand, again, back to the transphobia thing. I don't want to dwell on that too long. But to me, personally, and you can judge me all you want, like, the cross-dressing joke and that joke is all just under the British humor package. And, like, because of how not malicious the film is, I just don't think, and maybe, you know, like, if it immediately makes you think of, like, transphobia, then maybe there is there is a problem with that scene.
To be honest, it says more about me than it does Paddington.
I mean, that's
like,
one way to justify it. I feel like we say that a lot. Like, oh, it's just about me. But you do bring up a good point of, like, you know, how much of it is... Yeah. Yeah. But that's also, like, humor not working for everybody. I mean, you can argue that stand-up comedians, they always try to border the risque with the social commentary.
Oh, well,
with the crude.
Definitely, yeah. But it's just that this is not trying to do that in that way.
It isn't.
This is not trying to push boundaries in what is socially acceptable. It's trying to push boundaries in, like...
Just within its own... The humor within its own entity.
Within its own genre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to dwell on that.
Okay. I mean, it's an interesting thing to talk about.
It is an interesting thing to talk about.
If you're going to talk about Paddington, you don't need to dwell on the one joke that made me feel uncomfortable.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah. You know, it's not quite... I said Captain Underpants was the most recent film we've seen together in a theater. That's not true, I just realized.
You don't say Oogie Loves.
No, it's not Oogie Loves.
Okay.
We've seen a theater that came out recently. You know what it is?
Emoji Movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's a whole different ballpark.
Yeah, so the Emoji Movie...
Don't you love the films we reference?
Talking about, like, just how better Paddington is.
Yeah.
And something that is made with... It goes to show that Paddington is not being made for a, like, commercial reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though it's having to follow a lot of the tropes in order to make money and to pander to a large audience, it's still... The heart is there, and, like, the love of the making the film is there.
Yeah.
Where in the Emoji Movie, it was much more sterile.
Right, and it's not even I don't think the Emoji Movie is the worst film that came out last year.
No,
while everyone else, like, you know, loved to trash on it.
No.
I think there were one or two. It was entertaining to laugh at.
Can I talk about the context of how we saw it?
Sure.
Okay, so we saw the Emoji Movie. What we like to do is go to the theater and see
multiple movies
at the same time.
Yeah.
And we saw that day
Dunkirk.
Well, what did we start with? We didn't start with Dunkirk.
Was Dunkirk number one?
I don't think so. We had something before Dunkirk.
Was that Girls Trip? No. Yeah, no. I think we did Dunkirk, Emoji Movies, and Girls Trip. No, that was Valerian.
No.
Did we do Valerian?
Valerian, Dunkirk.
Was it?
Was it Valerian?
No.
It was not Valerian. No, it was something else before Dunkirk.
Because I remember, by the time we watched the Emoji Movie, it was still... by the time we finished...
Emoji Movie was number 3. I very specifically remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it was number 3. Dunkirk was in the middle. There's something before that. I think maybe it was Valerian.
Valerian's too long. Because I remember... Yeah, okay, that might make sense.
It maybe was Valerian.
Okay,
I almost want to check, but that'd take too long.
Yeah.
Okay. No matter what okay, so we saw a film. The first film was probably Valerian, big sci-fi thing. We saw Dunkirk, which is significant. Why I bring this up? It's that we saw Dunkirk, and to us, the experience for watching Dunkirk was just so painfully slow.
Yeah.
And we both didn't really.
I gave it 3.5 appreciation stars. Mark gave it 2 stars.
Yeah. I just suffered through it. I kind of enjoyed Hans Zimmer's score, but
I appreciate just a little brief thing on Dunkirk. I appreciate Nolan making something that's so unlike. I mean, you can argue that it's kind of like
this
Memento.
is a Paddington video.
Oh yeah. Okay. I just like talking about movies.
Yeah, that's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, after Dunkirk, the Emoji Movie actually seemed like a.
Yeah. So I actually gave the Emoji Movie a higher rating than Dunkirk.
Half a star more. You gave it 2.5. I gave it 1 star.
So I gave the Emoji Movie 2.5, and I gave Dunkirk 2. And yeah, that was just because I enjoyed the Emoji Movie as a break from Dunkirk.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
But but the reason Emoji Movie doesn't I feel like if the Emoji Movie wasn't as big of a marketing ploy for different apps, it might have been a solid 2 or 2.5 stars.
Like the concept's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you can argue what is, but it is that cynicism. It is that
cynicism in the Emoji Movie. Mm-hmm. That's really present.
It is the cynicism that drops it down to 1 star for me, where I'm just like, wow, we've really come this far. Mm-hmm. We've really come this far in our culture.
Cynicism. Paddington does acknowledge that cynicism exists very strongly. Like, he comes to London and nobody talks to him except this one family. Yeah. And even in that one family, only the mother is really good, actually wants to be helpful. And the film repeats this over and over, which is an awesome thing to do in a kids movie because, I mean, repetition, for one, like proves your point better, the message that you're trying to get, but also makes it more clear to kids. Like when he was like in the streets, when Paddington was in the streets, there's the guard who has all the food in his hat. Like there's the one person who helps the immigrant. And then as soon as he leaves and he's like, he can't help anymore, and the next guard who comes in and says, "What are you doing here? Get out!" and he sleeps on a bench, right? Like it's that stuff that like they're acknowledging the cynicism, they're acknowledging that it's difficult, but they're simultaneously pairing with good people and making the film overall very lighthearted by acknowledging that it's like there is cynicism, but
that's where the allegory comes very strong. But for me, I mean, I agree that it does show that cynicism exists. But even on a surface level, the movie is about proving that there is good in everybody if you look hard enough. Mm-hmm. Because the family eventually caves in and adores Paddington, and it becomes a really wholesome ending. The second film takes that and just rides with it to space. It becomes so uncynical. It's unbelievable, and it does the same thing. It introduces characters where you're like, what the fuck, what? But then by the end, you're like, oh, there's good in everyone.
Interesting.
Yeah, but we'll talk about my screening of Paddington 2 and what happened during it. When I did it at school for that video. But for now, we'll just stick with Paddington 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's more to talk about.
Like what?
I'm trying to think specific gags or... I mean, they're just clever moments like when the house opens up. Like just visual moments where it's clear that nobody slacked during this film. Even the decorations of the room, the ornaments. There was a moment...
Set design and the visual, the photography, the coloring, the lighting.
Mm-hmm. One scene where Sally Hawkins is...
sorry, go on. Yeah.
We did really quick. One scene where Sally Hawkins was laying against a bedpost and talking to Mr. Brown. The walls were all red and it reminded me of Amelie. I don't even doubt.
I mean, yeah. Both are really colorful.
Both are very colorful. Both have emphasis on symmetry and quirkiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were going to say something.
I've already forgotten what it was.
Oh, it happens. Well, allow me to ramble further on other things.
What were you talking about just now?
Oh, yeah. We were talking about...
What was it?
Yeah, you're right. I forgot too. Okay, so let's see. Sally Hawkins on the bedpost. Visual style.
Visual style.
Were we talking about visual style? Yeah, the house opening up. And how it's not lazy.
Right.
And how it seems like nobody has slacked.
Yeah, a good set piece is good.
Yeah.
I'll probably remember it in like 10 minutes after the video ends.
Right, but I'm really impressed by how fresh the jokes stay, even on a rewatch. And it is immensely rewatchable for me. And the more I watch it, the more I am willing to forgive the tropes. And to the point where this fourth watch, it's totally non-existent for me. Like, if we both watched it for the first time, I feel like we could agree to some extent on the tropes. But it is the situation where I've seen it so many times, where the heart... it comes out so much that it just melts me. All of that is non-existent. And you can argue there is Deus Ex Machina where Mrs. Bird comes out at the end and kicks Nicole Kidman out. I mean, there are conveniences. Yeah, but it's the fact that...
Well, her name's Mrs. Bird, so it's like as soon as it happens, you're like, oh, of course that makes sense.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and there are visual jokes like taxidermy.
I love that.
Yeah, there are these moments where you just don't expect a joke.
There were more subtle things that, like, were very interesting. Like the tree.
Exactly.
Raining leaves and falling to reflect, like, the mood of the family. And, like, almost like, it seemed like it was going through, like, the seasons or something.
Maybe not. I don't think there wasn't snow. Yeah, you can argue.
Well,
that.
there were cherry blossoms.
Oh,
there
right.
were fall leaves that fell off, and then I think the cherry blossoms. I don't remember
specifically. At the end, it's definitely blossoms.
Yeah, which is at least in Japan, cherry blossoms mean death, but I'm not sure.
No, I don't think that.
That's not what they meant.
Yeah, of course not. But also just that entire scene where, like, after the fire and everyone's sort of like worried about Paddington and the family's dynamic is in shambles. The color palette, it felt like a David Fincher movie, a la Fight Club, a la Seven. It's very clear that it's not very...
Oh, all the colors
Yeah.
dulled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was almost too much. But I mean, for a film like this, that's
I think
sense.
as obvious, like,
Yeah.
the more obvious this film is because of...
Yeah.
It just shows that in a kids film, you can have stuff like visual flair and style, and not just utter mediocrity in the way it's directed, or in the way the jokes work. Like you cannot argue with a specific. I mean, you cannot agree with a specific joke, but I don't think any of them make us want to roll our eyes.
Not agree with a joke. Oh, I guess that's what I'm doing with the.
Exactly. That's exactly
Okay.
what I'm referencing.
Okay, well, I'm not saying you don't agree with the joke. Makes it seem like that's not funny because.
Well, exactly, because you didn't find it funny.
Oh, I found it like not just not funny. I found it like uncomfortable.
Right.
That's a difference.
Right, but the point is
It's
that...
like if it was like a joke that fell flat. I mean, I don't give a shit.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You can say that a joke makes you uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but I don't think any of the jokes fell flat in a way that makes you roll your eyes in a way when you see in a mainstream the next Sherlock Gnomes movie, where every joke in the trailer is utterly cringy, and the puns are so like Norm of the Norm of the North. I was like a Norm of the North, Caribouya.
Oh my god.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah. I will say in the very beginning, I wasn't quite captured by like the magicalness of the film.
The forest.
Not the magicalness. The universe didn't bother me. It was the sparkle of the film, like the optimism of the film, and I guess this is because I don't watch kids films much anymore. But like
I do agree the beginning of the film was kind of weak, but I think that's one thing with the second movie will change. It goes back.
Okay.
It
Right.
It makes you really feel for Paddington's past in the jungle, in the forest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I can guess how it begins. I'm interested to see if my hypothesis that is now is true.
I'd like to hear it. No, hear it. Say it. I won't acknowledge or deny it.
So, I mean, it just makes sense that because this movie is so much about home, I wonder if he starts to feel homesick. And so if he starts to feel homesick, then the second movie is about the journey back to home. I'm wondering if that's what it's about. That's just a hypothesis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, those of you who've seen it, you can make your decision.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good discussion.
Yeah.
We touched on some... Yeah, there was definitely some subjects where I didn't expect to get into.
Yeah.
Both from, like, the Brexit, the immigration perspective, which now it just makes me love the film even more.
Yeah. It makes it very strong.
Yeah.
I agree.
But also with particular jokes that don't mesh with us. It's a cool... I feel like as we continue doing these videos, we will see how humor and certain things kind of don't work, and we will get into more discussions, and I can totally see like a future film where we reference directly back to this Paddington talk. I can totally see that happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I guess look forward to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good place to end
It's a
it.
good place to end it.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Remember if you ever get into a stench, always keep a
Marmalade sandwich
in your hat. Yeah. Don't forget that.
Yeah, don't forget that. For emergency.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we're back.
Okay, so what happened is we turned the camera off and we realized we had more we wanted to say about this.
Yeah, and from now on, whenever this happens, and if the points are significant enough, we will, do this.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, let's start with the music.
Yeah, okay. So you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in Paddington, I don't want to spoil that other film, but there are situations where you hear what's the style of music? Is it more Latin? But it's sung by... It's like a Latin rhythm jazz. Yeah, I don't want to give it a genre because...
I think you know what we can call it?
What?
Jungle music.
Let's call it jungle music.
Because that's what's his name calls it.
Yeah, that's what Peter Capaldi...
He's going to bring his jungle music, and they play jungle music. And
Yes.
it comes from a country which, if we knew more about... It comes from somewhere, my best guess would be a specific popular
South American...
immigrant
Yeah.
that goes to the UK.
Yeah.
That the British people will recognize, but we don't because we're Americans.
Right, we'll talk about that level of it very soon.
Yeah.
But just the surface level of having music that's non-diegetic to diegetic. If you've seen the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly video, we kind of mentioned it a bit. But this one makes it known, and it repeats it over and over again. And with it does, and it doesn't get tiring because it always fits the mood.
They change the mood.
Yeah, they change the mood. The lyrics always match.
Mm. Is it always the same lyrics?
No. The lyrics always match the scenario. So when Paddington's walking desperately in the rain, they're singing about raining in London.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And because you brought up the deeper point about, since the film is about immigration, I think the moments they choose to come in are very interesting. It's always when there's a big tonal shift. Mm-hmm. So, like, the beginning, Paddington's first seeing London, you see that. And then you see the family working as a unit for the very first time, like, the next morning, and you see it. And the next time you see it is when everything's sad and everything's, like, hopeless.
Yeah.
And Paddington's just wandering alone. And the last time you see it is at the very end, when everything's wholesome. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very deliberate, if we want to talk about the exotic nature of the music and how it's a direct reflection of immigration.
Yeah, and something else that I noticed that connects to this is the film very well makes it, at least it made it clear to me that this film was about immigration, but it doesn't bash you over the head with it like something else might.
You know?
Or as it would be tempted to do, as many, like, especially many family films that had a very strong agenda would be tempted to do. Like, the only thing you actually hear about an actual story of an immigrant is very briefly from the object person. I don't know what to call
Professor
him.
Slughorn himself. By the way, the number of actors that are in the Harry Potter franchise that are in this movie is pretty astonishing.
Oh, well, I mean, that's actually an explainable reason for that. The UK has a smaller pool of actors, so there's less to go around.
Yes.
So you see them in everything.
I've seen them in Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
I've seen them. It's great because all of them are such strong actors with great comedic chops, and I'm just glad to see everyone working together, including Sally Hawkins, who of Shape of Water fame. But of course she talks in this movie, so she plays a mute in Shape of Water.
You didn't tell me she never speaks and
that's the premise.
I know that's the premise, but don't give away that she never talks. You spoiling
that's
minutes.
I won't say anything further.
Okay, sure. All right.
Because
please don't. Because we're going to watch it today.
No, really? No, that's not a spoiler.
Okay.
I'm saying it based on the general premise.
Sure. Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
In the future, that's kind of how it is. Like, even if a film later proves that, I'm not going to say anything. We're done with that. But anyway, there are other things. So Mark earlier brought up the fact that the villains are very weak, and I think there's an interesting perspective about that.
Okay.
It has to do with the actor and actress playing the villains. Okay. Especially after seeing the second one, I think they're deliberately they look for specific actors and actresses to play the villains, and they make it campy enough that it references their other films in a way. So Nicole Kidman, her breakout film was Moulin Rouge, where she plays a very hot, the love interest, the sexy woman love interest. I haven't seen the entire movie, so I can't. It's not really on my shame list because the movie has mixed reviews. But the fact that she's a leathery, high-heeled lady, and the way she plays it up to that campy level is definitely reflective. It's definitely written for her, and because of that, I can appreciate the villains more. And in the second film, you get a certain actor that I don't think you know who he is, but I won't spoil it for the sake of that.
Okay.
You get a certain actor playing a villain, and the way they write the villain is exactly reflective of his career and his strengths.
Okay.
And Nicole Kidman is known to play good villains. If she plays great, dashing women love interest, but I argue she plays even better villains. And the fact that she is a villain, it negates the fact that this villain is tropey, and it just becomes about actors and actresses having fun and to an extent being meta.
Okay.
Yeah, to an extent.
I can respect that opinion. I don't agree with it, but I respect it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out there because I think that is For those of you who know Nicole Kidman and maybe like really admire her, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that is a point that food for thought for you to think about. Yeah. Also, she's like in her late 40s in that movie. Mm-hmm. She does not look in her late 40s. She ages very well.
Look at makeup artist.
No, well, remember in Killing of Sacred Deer? She's 50 in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good makeup artist.
I don't think she's a good makeup artist.
No. She has a good makeup artist in the movie.
That's true. For this movie especially.
Yeah.
And a nice wig.
Mm-hmm.
Very villainy.
Yeah.
Very Cruella. very. It is.
If once you, having done theater, when you're an actor in like a professional production or in a production where they have like a big budget to dress you up nice, you feel like a mannequin.
Oh, okay.
Like you get sort of a different perspective. I'm like, because like they like, okay, my hair is this short because they cut it off. My hair has been like really long for the past 5 years. They cut it off because they wanted my character to look a specific way.
I like it.
Yeah.
I prefer it actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's that. Guess you'll never, unless he grows it out again and we're still doing this channel, you won't see that.
Well, over the course of like the couple of months that we'll do this, I imagine it'll get a little longer.
You don't plan on cutting it again?
No. Well, I do know I want it to like this length.
Yeah.
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 Not like ponytail like I had it, but like shoulder.
I think that'll work. That'll work better.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other things?
Yeah.
About the movie?
Yeah. You sure you don't want to talk about my hair more? I'm just making fun of the fact that we're going on such weird tangents.
I like talking about Mark's hair so much. It's my favorite topic. You have to bring it up in every review in the future.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Was there anything we didn't say that we wanted
Good
to
to great film. I mean, okay, you guys know that. This is all obviously spoiler territory.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm trying to think.
Well, there could be people who don't care. I mean, if people.
There's always that.
Yeah.
There's always that.
Yeah. Which, that's how you want to watch movies. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not how I want to watch movies, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is important. This is the last point I'm gonna say. Because the second film is I'm raving about it, and everyone I know says the second film is way better than the first, and that's the general reputation. I will say that it is extremely important that you watch the first one before the second one. And if you are if Rotten Tomatoes ratings mean anything to you, the first one has a 98%, the second one has a 100%, and that's only 2% difference. But even beyond that, the first film does its job very well, but the brilliance of the second film very much relies on the fact the first film exists. Yes, there you go. So please watch the first film before you watch the second.
Yeah. We're going to watch the second film very soon.
Yes.
Yeah. So, that would be fun.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay.
I don't think we're turning on the camera again after this.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything more to say.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, let's not overstay our welcome. Bye.
Yep, bye.